From our studios around the world, this is the Taste of Place podcast. Each month, we share stories from the keepers of culinary culture and heritage to spark ideas for your professional path or your next travel adventure. I'm your host, Erik Wolf. Thanks for listening. In this episode, number 82, we meet Daniela Sfara, a Canadian-Italian chef, cultural ambassador, and passionate guardian of Italy's disappearing regional food traditions. After a 20-year career in jewellery, the pandemic prompted a complete reinvention, one that led her from home cooking to international recognition, private dining experiences, and a leadership role in Italy's hospitality excellence community. Daniela brings a rare depth of knowledge about terroir, intuition, memory, and the true meaning of authenticity. In this conversation, she shares why food is never just food, how tradition becomes identity, and why reconnecting to the origins of what we eat matters now more than ever. This episode is sponsored by the World Food Travel Association's Taste of Place movement, a global initiative celebrating culinary culture, food heritage, and the makers who bring them to life. Together, we help travelers and consumers connect more deeply with destinations through their unique flavors and traditions. Learn more at jointasteofplace.org.
Daniela, hi, it's so nice to meet you.
It's an incredible pleasure to be here with you, Erik.
Well, I love the fact that you are part Italian because Italy is one of my favorite food cultures and I love Italian food and a lot of things Italian. So I would really love to hear how you came to be half Canadian and half Italian. I'm guessing one mother, one father.
So actually, through my birth parents, complete Italian, I was just born here, but I've had the misfortunate pleasure of growing up half a year in Canada, half a year in Italy. Growing up Italian is really my prime home love base of language, of culture, of cuisine, and heritage. Yeah. And it was great because I got to see both worlds, but mostly Italian, if anything. Yeah.
Okay. And where in Italy were you living?
As many parents emigrate and relatives emigrate, our immediate roots, or my immediate roots, are down in the south of Italy, in Calabria, in the province of Reggio Calabria, in a small town of Gioiosa Ionica. And we are Marina side, which means seaside. A lot of our relatives, however, emigrated to Piemonte, Lombardia, Lazio, Abruzzo, Campania, so a little bit everywhere.
Okay. I am very balanced Italian.
Very.
Do you have a favorite regional cuisine in Italy? Is it Calabrian or something else?
Oh, that's such a challenging question to answer because it's not just the cuisine. I love the Southern Italian flavors for sure, but when you balance it with whomever's preparing it and the moments and the memories that are created, that just tells the entire philosophy of food. So it depends on the moment too. I've had some incredible meals in Northern Italy and Central Italy, again, because they take part in this moment of creating memories. So it's not just food, for me anyways, but the flavors are definitely more appreciated in the South from me anyways.
Yeah, it's all about the overall experience, and I agree with you. It's everything from the terroir of the ingredients to who you're dining with, who cooked it, whether they're using your favorite ingredient or something that you don't like so much.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's a little different because when I travel to Italy, I don't even typically say travel because I'm more local. And if it's the little lady that's taking me into her garden and now I'm part of harvesting whatever the ingredients are that she's going to be making it at the table, it doesn't matter whether it's north or south she comes from. It's all part of, like you said, understanding the terroir and that know-how of preparing things and the seasonality of everything. So it's really a respect and an appreciation more so in the moment than it is just the food, because food is never just food.
Okay. I know that you used to be a jeweler and then the whole COVID thing hit and then you were concentrating on cooking, but where did you learn your cooking? Was it from your family, being the time you spent in Italy?
Absolutely. So from the very young age, I wasn't even 2 yet, just being in the kitchen with my mom, watching, listening, observing patterns, routines, even hearing rhythms. And I learned from her. Now, there are 2 ways to learn how to cook. You can go to a culinary academy and learn the scientific rhythms of cooking, and that is essentially measurement, ingredients, etc. Or you can cook from an old, and it's not even just Italian, anywhere else in the world, from someone that's got ancestral roots and has an intuitive know-how. And I find that is by far the most intrinsic way to learn. And so I learned that way, and everything that I had been introduced to since then, whether it's ingredients, seasonality, etc., they know how to put everything together. And so it's a different way of learning to cook. And so I'm really honored and proud that I did learn from my relatives, and that I've had the opportunity to step into many kitchens from north to south of Italy, into anyone's kitchen, and learn methods and rudimentary ways, which in hindsight are actually luxurious dishes.
I think that cooking by intuition is the real gift, and anyone can learn a formula. You can follow a recipe, but it just seems like people who follow recipes, the passion is missing from it. It seems very scientific and clinical. You've made a risotto, but it's just missing something. And you might call it love, or an Italian mama or nana might call it love, but yeah, I mean, it's cooking by intuition is definitely a talent.
It's also, and like you said, you can teach anybody to read a recipe, and there is going to be something missing. But I think most people don't actually realize or trust in themselves is they're already cooking intuitively. And it really is just a hesitation to learn that extra intuitive way to learn. So what I mean by that is you're going to read a recipe and you might instinctively say, oh, I don't want that much sugar in there. And you're going to adjust as you go. You're already cooking intuitively. So you don't realize, because there's actually numbers and measurements in front of you. And then there's always going to be that concern of, is it going to be the same? And the immediate answer is, it's never going to be the same. So you either learn by memory and intuition, or you learn by reading. But when you learn by reading, you're absolutely right. The passion is missing. It's too structured. It's too clinical. And it doesn't matter how gorgeous the dish is, you're always trying to compare it to something. And that's not the point of cooking. You should be enjoying your time in the kitchen. Maybe pour a glass of vino, enjoy the moment, put some music on, dance your way through the ingredients. I look like a lunatic sometimes when I'm cooking in my kitchen by myself, but I have the most amazing time. And the dishes are incredible. I can taste where they came from. I can taste their place. And I think that's what people don't realize, that they're already cooking intuitively. They just need to take it up a notch.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen those videos on Instagram where they have those 2 Italian guys and they're critiquing people cooking Italian dishes? And my favorite is, there's the one where the people break the spaghetti.
Yes.
And there's the other one. Have you seen the English young woman trying to make, she tried to make a pizza and then she tried to do something like a meatloaf dish. Have you seen that one?
I don't know if I have. No.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from those.
Sorry?
I try to stay away from those videos. They get my blood racing a little.
So yeah, you're feeling like the Italian guys that are just, no, I can't believe they're doing that. This woman, this English woman, when she's making a pizza, I think she uses ground beef, and then she puts the sliced American cheese on the wrappers, plastic wrappers. She puts that on top of the pizza. And she uses ketchup, squeeze bottle ketchup, and she goes like this on top of it. And then they always take a bite of it and they go, oh, so good. And she does that. And I swear to you, I don't think there's a person in the world that is watching this thinking that this does not look good. What was she thinking?
I think we've come to a point where we've come to a crossroads where algorithm and authenticity have collided, and people are on the track of algorithm more so than authenticity. And they do it so they can get followers and viewers and comments and engagement. And I'm pretty sure I would really hate to think that somebody in their kitchen thinks that's an actual pizza. I really hate to think that. So I feel better knowing that they know it's just for engagement, because I can't allow myself to believe that anybody would make something like that and call it pizza.
That's an excellent point. And I think that probably, I don't know, I think that makes me think of TikTok, where a lot of tourism offices think that they need to be on TikTok. And we always say you can't sell a place in 7 seconds. You can't communicate the taste of the place in 7-second clips or 10-second clips. It's ridiculous. And you don't need to be on TikTok because, first of all, the demographics are quite young. Second of all, that's not where food lovers are going for inspiration. It's where people are going to be amused or entertained, and it's flicking through stuff. I'm not going to sit there and actually think, oh, this dish looks amazing. I'm going to go book a trip now to wherever because I saw this on TikTok. Not yet.
Well, I think it goes and it speaks very widely and largely to what you've done with your association. You didn't create your association because you wanted it to be a trend, because you wanted it to be a now thing. You wanted people to understand something, and you want people around the globe to connect with something so much deeper than a surface level experience of what food is, of what culinary tourism is, of what gastronomical tourism is. And I've seen, even when I do my guest lectures in any culinary academy, your name is at the top of the list that I mentioned, both you and your association, because you've done such wonderful things. And we look at now, and I'm so perplexed, and I keep having this mental dichotomy in my head because, as you're saying, TikTok, everything is trend and algorithm, and everyone's chasing that. How can we find the authenticity of things that we so desperately are craving if we're constantly chasing the surface and superficial? So we've got to create that balance, and we've got to share the authenticity side. And even though that word itself has lately become a trending term, there's a responsibility that comes with authenticity. And I think it's put this down, because we can't be enjoying cuisine or an experience if we're busy doing this and snapping shots to show on TikTok and Instagram. Now, I understand why we do it, but there's an importance to connecting. And we can't physically do those two things at once. We can't connect with where place is and where food comes from. I see people that post in Italy how they make a beautiful burrata or mozzarella di bufala or ricotta. And I'm saying, okay, that's wonderful, but let's go back to where the animals are, because that's the start of it all. Let's go back to where the shepherds are. Once you get an understanding of how the shepherds care for their animals, whatever their flock is, and how they are raised and loved and cared for, you taste that in the cheese. And that's part of what you've created with your association and what you share and what everyone else in your association shares around the world. And that's the importance of the authenticity. We need to understand, and we can't understand. We're chasing trends in algorithm in TikTok. So yeah.
You're right. And I think that you made another good point that authenticity, the term is overused and really abused. I travel so much and I hear someone say, oh, we're going to go for an authentic such and such. And you can just see it's a tourist rendition of a dish. And it's almost like when a hotel says it's luxury or a B&B says it's boutique, and it's really not. Who authorizes the use of these terms in marketing? I mean, five-star hotel, you've got the Peninsula, or you've got another Hilton, and they're not the same. They're not, you can't say like Hilton is 5-star and the Peninsula is 5-star and say that 5 stars are equal, because I tell you, the Peninsula is more like a 50-star compared to a Hilton. Nothing wrong with Hilton, but it's a completely different category.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm all for rudimentary because it's, again, connectivity, and it's no different than even in today's world, as silly as it may seem, people talk about manifestation and writing, and there's an energy that flows from within you when you write with paper and pen versus typing on a keyboard. And I do believe that there is a beautiful feeling that comes from writing. And in that same way, when you've got someone rolling the dough, whether it is the Italian version of a pasta or a bread, or in any other part of the world, whether it's a roti or an empanada or anything else, or a tortilla or anything, there's an emotion that travels from within your body into that very rudimentary tool. Put the KitchenAid away, put the electrical stuff away. And that's where you feel, and that's where you taste. But I'm not even talking about just feeling the food. You're feeling everything around you. And when you can actually taste food at such a heightened level, like, that's better than any 50-star anything.
Yeah, it really is. We talked about food being made with love, but I think there's also food being made with passion. Someone who's making the meal, who loves cooking, who loves making the food, who loves pleasing people. It could be a mother pleasing her family, right? Or a father out on the barbecue who loves to cook, and the kids love what he makes out on the barbecue. There's no replacement for that. And it goes back to what we were saying about the clinical reading a recipe versus being into it, being into what you're doing.
Sure. And I think there's a genuine care for humanity that comes through the act of cooking for people. Just like you said, if we were to carry on a different conversation or an even longer conversation, and I were to learn what type of dishes you like, you said you love everything Italy, which I appreciate. You go into that, I would want to make, for whatever periods of time you come to my table, I would want to make those dishes that you enjoy. And that's my way of showing you that I care about the time you've taken to come over, the time you've taken in your life out of your busy schedule to come and spend time with me. And that's what I think people misunderstand, that there is so much of a level of care and love in taking care of someone. If you've got a little kid and it could be peanut butter and jelly, it doesn't matter, and they're really happy, then you create a little bit, even as strange as it sounds, of a tradition. Oh, it's Tuesday, Mom's making PB&J today. And you create those beautiful memories around the love of food and ingredients because they're moments. So I think it's beautiful. We need to just connect more with them.
The PB&J, toasted or not, crusts or not, there's all different things to learn about what your kids love.
I know, about anybody, really. Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I was going to come to your place for Italian food, what would you make me?
I am one of those people that loves to scale it right back and give you the real, the raw, the old, the ancient, and it's always rudimentary. I don't have any plug-in appliances. It's my heart, my love, my lived experiences that go into every single dish and ingredient. So my first question is, do you drink wine? Because that's a very important thing.
In our industry, it's a necessary thing.
Okay. So I would present you with some of the older dishes that are of the cucina povera. And I might take you either around Italy, or I might just keep you in a centralized Southern Italy regions for a meal, and it would definitely be seasonal, and it would be homemade for certain. And I'd introduce you and take you with me, not seated at the table, but cooking with me, because I think you would appreciate it so much more when you could be there and not just be a guest enjoying a meal. So I'd get you involved in not just cutting the bread or pouring the wine, but I'd want you in there. So for example, if we were making a very traditional lasagna ceci, which is a very old school, roughly made pasta with chickpeas that are very slow cooked, I would take out my old terracotta pot that is my great grandmother's. We would cook together. It takes a couple hours to get the chickpeas going. We would be making the pasta. We would enjoy some beautiful prosciutto and formaggio with some vino. To Italians, there's no such thing as a half an hour meal. So expect to do nothing other than cook and eat. But you would pretty well be taken to Italy if you were here at my table.
Sounds wonderful. And it's interesting because what you were just describing is we'd be cooking together for 2 to 3 hours, and that's an investment of time. So we are vested in the outcome of the meal. And compare that to someone today who just goes to the grocery store and gets a frozen pizza, or goes to a fast food place and gets a burger or something, or they get their food immediately within 2 minutes and they've got their next meal. And I think that it's partly about the quality of life, but it's also about, I think, the perception of the meal itself. If I've invested 2 to 3 hours in this, and I'm also appreciating the time that you're taking to teach me and tell me the stories, and when you were in Italy and when your grandmother said this and all these things, and I am learning with you through this process versus someone in the drive-through saying, here's your meal. It's going to be a completely different experience. I'm going to remember that. I'm not going to remember my next drive-through meal.
But the thing is that you're not just learning from me or the stories I'm sharing. We are now connecting. And it's me learning about you. It's me coming into your world as well, because it's a beautiful conversation that we're going to have. And we are in many ways bringing the entire globe at the table with us, because it's impossible. I don't care where in the world you're from. And I say this, and I'm Italian. We're not just connecting one culture. We're connecting every single culture and heritage at the table, because it's how it was. We didn't just pick up, order pizza, and sit there. Nobody sat there at the table with telephones or technology, ignoring everybody. Convivialità, it was conviviality at its finest. And we're connecting globally now at that point, because you're going to go back. I'm going to go away from what we just experienced together. And we're now taking that and connecting it and carrying it forward. And that's how we actually create a beautiful, sustainable ecosystem. That's how we move forward, by going back.
You're right. Because as we go forward in life, we'll take those stories, we'll take those lessons, we'll take those ingredients, right? And I can talk about the time that I was cooking with Daniela and she taught me this, or I had a friend once who taught me how to make risotto. And I was quite surprised that I said, oh, you use chicken stock, right? And he said, what do you think? That we would use water? And I said, yeah, and he goes, chicken stocks. Homemade. But then you have to keep stirring it. And he said, no, don't stop, don't let it burn. And then I just stood there and I thought, this is when I was much younger. I thought, this is silly. I don't have time for this kind of thing. But then the result was just so amazing. And I thought, okay, now I know why I stood there for an hour stirring the risotto and why we use this kind of rice versus any other kind of rice, and about the adding the wine in and the cheese in. And I didn't even know you put grated cheese into the risotto. I thought maybe that was, people don't know how things are made, right? We don't know. How do you make a ragu? What is ragu? That's a brand of pasta sauce in the United States.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, disgusting, right? But yeah, I think we have become disconnected from the source of food, and I think the connection to food, especially within our families. And some people are trying to get that back. You're trying to get that back, and that's really everything we do here at the association is about trying to get that back, preserve it, and promote it. Because otherwise, what do we have? The entire world starts to look the same.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right, because we've seen, I think with everything that's so fast and digital and tech driven in our worlds, in our surroundings, we've come to see food as an industry and not as an identity.
Mm.
And that's been a shift that I wish did not happen. But I'm also very happy that it did happen, because now it gives us an even greater responsibility to change the narrative of it all and show people that understanding the heritage of place and terroir and cuisine and culture and traditions is really the conversation of food. And it's not just food.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Daniela, our time is coming to an end here, but I know you've generated all these ideas in my head again, and I really miss cooking with people. I don't get a chance to do it that often. I have a couple great memories in my past about cooking with people. I was in Thessaloniki, Greece, of all places, and I was at a cooking school with some colleagues. And it was done as a team building type thing, but actually we were learning how to make Greek dishes, and it was a lot of fun. And it was team building. We did grow closer as a team, and I would love to cook with you, or if not that, at least spend some time with you in Italy and going to some of your favorite places. I know that you do some tours to Italy as well. And I just love experiencing destinations and cultures and food through the eyes of locals, the people whose food it is, because they tend to be so proud and also so knowledgeable about the food. And I'm just a sponge for information. You can tell me stories all day long and I'll just absorb it all. So thank you.
Well, my luggage is packed. We can leave tomorrow. I'm fine to go.
Well, I'll get to Italy faster than you since I'm living in Spain now. So
Yeah, you're very close. No problem.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
was in Italy
absolutely.
in May of this year. I was in Umbria, which is a place that I guess a lot of people, everybody's going to Tuscany, right?
Well,
But I had a lovely time, some really good food, very nice people. And what I liked about it, it was off the beaten path. It wasn't, there were touristy places, of course, but
sure.
it wasn't like Tuscany where you see the big tourist buses all the time and things are really expensive and things are perhaps a little overdone or staged. It was more like, this is just every day what we do in Italy kind of thing. And it was lovely.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And I have to be honest, I always say there's two ways to be in Italy. And I don't like using the word travel because I don't believe being in Italy is travel. But there's two ways to be in Italy. You can either be in Italy as a tourist, or you can be in Italy as close as possible to getting a local experience. And that's the best way to see and feel and taste it. But you also have to realize you're going to be with people who don't necessarily speak English. But that's where you're going to get the most incredible of everything, because you're going to see places you'd never think were possible to see.
Mhm.
You're going to taste things that you will have probably tasted in the dish before, but never the same way.
Yeah.
And you'll feel like you can't believe you've never experienced it before. Almost in a sense that you don't even know what you've even been to before, because it did not feel like Italy.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. So to Italy, My bags are packed, and we'll see you there.
I'll see you there. Dinner
All right.
tomorrow.
Vediamo.
That's it for this episode of the Taste of Place podcast. This episode is brought to you by the World Food Travel Association and its Taste of Place movement. We'd like to hear from you. We invite you to share your ideas, questions, and thoughts about the podcast by contacting us through our website, or you can connect with us and comment about the show on major social media platforms. Special thanks to our guest, Daniela Sfara, and our sincerest thanks to you for joining us. I'm Erik Wolf, wishing you a safe, happy, and productive month ahead.